It's time for another gardening update, so let's get out there and take a look at what's going on. Over here by the compost pile, the potatoes are doing pretty well for the most part. I think I've got those potato beetles pretty well under control for the most part also. This milkweed here is doing great. I just let a couple of them grow, and everything else I pull up because it can kind of go crazy if you let it. These little pepper plants are starting to produce. Well, not produce, they're starting to get peppers on them pretty well. The strawberries that I transplanted are doing okay. This volunteer sunflower is really growing. And the onions that I have planted over here are doing well enough. I just have a few planted. That sun gold tomato plants, probably if I straighten it up, about waist high or so. Then we have quite a few little peppers planted over here, and some of those are starting to get peppers. Got a tomatillo there. This row of tomatoes is doing okay, but not as good as some of our other ones. So I'm hoping these will produce well for us later on. Here's the China jade cucumbers. I need to get those, some of them are climbing on their own, but I need to put some of those up on the cage so they'll start climbing. We got a rain last night, so everything's kind of beat down a little bit. Got melons over here, getting ready to climb that cattle panel. And we have a couple of tomato plants. This is the sun sugar over here. Hopefully you can see those tomatoes. Got tomatoes on all three of the cherry plants. This one is called Chadwick cherry. First time I've ever grown it. And we've got 3 tomatoes over here next to the cherries. We're getting tomatoes on some of them here and there. I'll just walk by the garden so you can kind of get an idea of how everything's doing. And then we'll take a closer look at some of the stuff out there. These peppers in the 10-gallon grow bags are starting to take off now. Some of them were just kind of sitting there, but I think their roots have been established well now, so they're starting to do a lot better. Okra's starting to grow a little bit. Corn's getting pretty tall. That volunteer sunflower there is about 6 feet tall. And the stuff back here is doing well too. Let me get down here where you can see some of this stuff over here in the grow bags. Then we got potatoes. They're starting to fall over a little bit. They got so tall. We're starting to harvest. Well, not for a while. We've been eating the snap peas and the snow peas. Had some of those yesterday in a salad. It's kind of an interesting looking pepper there. Here's another pepper that's kind of cool looking. I don't know how well you can see the variation on it, but it's pretty neat. While we're over here, I might as well show you the Midwest Midnight Orange. It's got really dark foliage, and it's pretty cool looking once the peppers start getting ripe. We harvested all of the garlic scapes, or most of them, and I think I'm going to harvest the garlic this week. I was a little late harvesting our garlic scapes this year, but sometimes life makes my schedule for me. They have kind of a mild garlic taste. We used some of our scapes in some mixed vegetables we had, and the rest we planned to make pesto out of. Here's a look at the entire harvest. As you can see, we got quite a few. The Monte Gusto pole beans over on the cattle panel are growing really well. The fence we have here is 6 feet tall, and they're above the fence. The dill's looking pretty rough over here. It's kind of laying down from the rain. Looks like my garden helper just arrived, just in time to mess up my video. Okay, we have the muncher cucumbers over here. Got Malabar spinach here. And then the long beans are climbing pretty well on this cage over here. While we're here, might as well take a look at this variegated basil. It's kind of neat looking, and it is pretty good to eat too. The peanuts finally have their roots established, and they'll start growing well now. They've just been kind of sitting here for the last week or so. We've got a little bit of okra over here. We don't eat a whole lot of okra, so this little short row will be enough for us because it can keep you pretty busy just picking. And then while we're here, let's take a look at the corn. This tallest row in the front here is some popcorn. I'm crossing that with the one behind it. It's a variegated variety, and it's doing very well too, except it's shorter. And the more variegation it has, the less the plant will grow. Some of them really struggle if they have too much white. Here's a closer look at some of the variegated corn. As you can see, some of it gets pretty white. And I'm working on trying to make the corn, the kernels on these pop better than they do right now. I think I'm on a pretty good course to get that done in the next couple of years, God willing. I mentioned a while back that our Musa Basjoo banana had died. That wasn't true at all. As you can see, we've got sprouts coming up everywhere. I bought one to replace it because I thought it was dead, and the new one that I bought is way down in there. And as you can see, the sprouts from the old one are way ahead of it and will be 10 or 12 feet before you know it. The bush beans are kind of beaten down from the rain. And you can see a couple of volunteer amaranths growing there. I'm going to let one of those grow and pull the rest. I counted the other day, and I have over 100 pepper plants growing here and there. And here's a couple of interesting ones. They're mutants, so they look completely different than a regular pepper plant. Then we have the Matapino crossed with a purple flash. And it started out almost completely white, but as it was exposed to more sunlight, more green started to appear. Here's one I've been working on for a few years. I really like the way it looks once it has peppers on it. I've got one that's quite a bit ahead of the other, but they'll probably look pretty much alike once the end of the summer gets here. As you can see, this one's going to have quite a few peppers on it. That's about all I have to show you today. I'll try to do a couple of other videos and go into more detail about some of the stuff we have growing, but right now it's a pretty busy time of year, so hopefully I can find time to do that soon. Be sure to let us know how your garden's doing. Our garden is doing great so far. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.